Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus King Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe for the no, not the full moon this time, the new moon, the new moon in Aquarius reads. Okay, so we're doing this one a little differently. Howsoever, it should be noted and understood that a lot of these new moon and Aquarius messages will be highly tied and like follow-ups, if you will, maybe even some elaborations and confirmations and such in connection and coherence to the full moon in Leo and the full moon in Leo messages. So I'll say it once more. Keep that in mind, even though we're doing it a little differently this time. So I'm gonna try to make sure that this intro is in all of the videos, just to make sure that everybody is informed accordingly to wherever it is that they feel like they're supposed to be. All right. So let me give you a breakdown about what we're looking at here up on this screen right here, right now, and how we're doing this thing. All right. So the first video is going to be the general collective messages. I also have a special video, and this is going to be a consistency as well. And I'm also doing a category and whole like price list section, even for my personal reading options and such for queer people, period. Okay, so yes, so if you identify or you got questions, okay, you got questions and conversations that could be incoherent with that collective, all right, you identify, okay, or you may think you identify or you got some questions about certain things concerning maybe you an ally or something, or you thinking about it, listen, if it resonates, however it resonates for you, okay, it's there. All right, and it'll be explained further, what that entails, the purpose of that, as well as, the purpose of the collective in itself. Just off GP, you know what I'm saying? Just existing, period, in this world. Okay, gonna also have a video for the artistic, shout out to say the autistic collective, but hey, that can apply there also. Okay, but the artistic collective, okay, there's a particular reading video for those people you identify as an artist or use an artist or whatever, or you got questions and conversations, you know what I'm saying? However it resonates, if you resonate with artistry, honey, see if that's where you're supposed to be. All right. And we have a practical collective video. So what that means is anyone who is in a more practical lifestyle, be it you work a more practical job like you drive trucks or you work at a car dealership, you have a typical 9 to 5 type lifestyle. You do your career involves pretty much, it kind of has like set steps according. So for instance, the difference between uh going to school for arts is once you graduate, you kind of just free ball. Like you have to make the most of your time there for real, do your good networking and connections and whatnot, to make the most out your situation once you get out. But if you go to school for like to be a doctor type shit, there's more of certain practical protocols and things of that nature that are set up for, okay, you go to this school for this, and then after that you're gonna go to this school for this, and then after that you're gonna go do this and get your job over here, and whatever, what have you. Not saying that it's easier, just saying that it flows different. The artistic lifestyle requires more freestyling, while the more practical lifestyle has more specific rules lined up, in which it'll make more sense once we get into it. And this will also be definitely a group that is for people who are teachers, managers, social workers, people of that nature. As well as housewives, house husbands, parents, all of that. And of course, this don't mean that that's all that you do. You can resonate with any other collectives. Like if you lead a more practical lifestyle, that doesn't mean that that's all there is to you, or that that's all that it has to be to you. So that's also why I emphasize, like, if you're having interests that you feel like resonates with any of the other groups, then hey, do your thing, take the meat, spit out the bone. You know what I'm saying? So and there are people who are artists one way or another, and this also includes performing artists, DJs, rappers, the spectrum of musicians, actors, dancers, models included, all that. And then also, that being said too, so of course, self-explanatory, the artist, right? But then if you are an agent or a manager or something of the sort, you may lead more with the practical collective, okay? Because those are more practical jobs, even though it can be adjacent to entertainment, right? But because you work with artists, you may also have interest in tuning into the artist's video. You see? Also, and speaking of which too, because there are agents that work for athletes. And so if you're an athlete, athletics and all of that, that is channeled through the practical group as well. So just to give some more indication on the spectrum of the different groups, because Of course, remember I said it's a lot to do with a lot of people who lead like kind of a more quote unquote typical 9 to 5 type of lifestyle. However, not limited to that, because we know people who are athletes and coaches and all of that, it ain't so linear either. There's certain linear things, and then there are certain things that get into the freestyle of it all. So yeah. But honey, like I said, if it don't make sense right now, it'll all make sense as we get through it and into it. And honey, at a certain degree, if you don't know, you just won't know in certain cases. We either speak the same energetic language or we don't, honey. But yes, honey, happy to be here and queer. Also, I feel I need to also pinpoint too that queer doesn't queer doesn't have to be limited to sexual identity or gender identity or anything like that. That group also includes people who are polyamorous, polygamous. You got interest in that way. It also includes people who may identify as weird, black sheep, as well as people who may have mental illnesses, personality disorders. Like I forgot, what do you call child anyway. But like if you've been mistreated and ostracized on any of the spectrum of like even autism, ADHD, things of that nature, or disabilities, deformities, things of that nature, that is also included in the queer collective. So want to make that um, specification as well. And a lot of these things will be swiftly and briefly reiterated once we get into the specificities of all the different reads. But child, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the specificities of said reads. Greetings, sunshines and sunnies of the queer collective. Now, as I said in the intro, this does entail queer as in LGBTQ plus and the whole spectrum of sorts, but also it also references people who have like disabilities, mental, psychiatric challenges, um, disorders, things of that nature as well. Specifically, if you've experienced like being treated like a black sheep because of it, being treated like a burden, being ostracized and such because of it, y'all included in here too. If you fit both categories of the spectrum, honey, you fit multiple categories of the spectrum. Hey, the more the merrier. All right, we are not gonna waste no more time. Gonna go ahead and get right into the cricks and crannies of these cards. So, straight out the gate, I must do say that a major part of the reason I got the inclination to um, include special categories and tanks for the queer collective is because I literally got the call to action from Spirit. Spirit said, Queen. Queen said, huh? Spirit said, you gotta do it for the girls. You gotta do it for the kids. Yeah, amongst. Filling me in on some things that concern, honey. Being of such, the identity, wherever you fit in it, honey, has major spiritual gifts, okay, that is a part of the nature of it all, to your being, to your identity. And it's all a part of your divine purpose, okay? A subtle power, a tough love, oh, like a bear, ooh, like a shark, a tough love, and I thought the world would revolve without us, without us, without us. But nothing I know would break us down. Hey, it couldn't break us down. Hey, if you know, you know. And child, I feel like a lot of y'all know who and what that is. That's Beyonce and Frank Ocean channeling on through with superpower. All right, you know nothing is a coincidence. It's coming through with the messages and then coherence and correlation of it all. And so the messages of that song channeling through is literally fixing to be elaborated upon as we get into. Okay, let me address the cards that's laid out in this layout right here. Okay, we have the 10 of Wands, aka the 10 of Vibes, aka Burnt Out, and we got the Moon, aka the Ghoster, from the Millennial Tarot deck. And from our Earth Warrior entities, honey, we have Kaitiaki, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, Guardian of, I don't know how to pronounce that word right now, but it essentially means the divine feminine. Guardian of the divine feminine. And we have, I don't know how to say that right now either, but it is medicine of the rainbow jaguar. Yes, so straight out the gate, you may notice some colorations of the cards, giving some real stark indications of some things. First of all, very much so out the darkness into the light energy. Okay, we also got some reds and some pinks going on here. So over to the left of them is like some reds and blacks and some hues of pinks. And then on the moon card, it's straight up pink and black with a little bit of, something like off white sepia, more like a sepia type color, but basically giving shit, like the card says, burnt out. Hell, the moon is dark, goddamn. Can't see shit. I can't see fucking shit in this thing. Okay, and so definitely is pointing towards like how it's felt for the collective for a long time, honey, for a while, Brian. And that's not a coincidence, okay? Stewie Griffin is channeling through. You must know, Stewie Griffin is considered queer. It's also a little boy genius, okay? Some things that Spirit is having me to point out about Stewie is, how neglected Stewie is and his terrible parents. Tisk. Okay, so paying attention to the parallels, and they are bringing attention to the fact that Stewie is evil. Okay, what they're telling me is a correlation between in the beginning seasons where Stewie is, more evil than not. It has a lot to do with the influence of the neglect and, basically abandonment in different ways that he experiences as it concerns his household, his parents. But the more Brian has more of an influence in his life, like a parent, and they're also bringing up Meg, there are times and places where Meg is, more operative and caring for him, like a mother figure, the more those things are more of an influence in his life, the more he like softens up over time in certain ways. And his values and motivations and things expand. While certain things remain the same. However, what they're bringing up here is this thing about being true to self. This thing about being true to self. The more this positive influence of support and attentiveness was shown to him over time, the more he was able to be more true to himself, and that plays a large role in growth as it concerns the character. Okay. And so there are some paralleling things going on here to be addressed as it concerns y'all experience of y'all's childhood, y'all experience of y'all's parents and or parental figures, y'all's village that y'all came up in. And definitely makes sense, especially being the fact that this is the queer collective and whole spectrum that I named off and referenced, you know what I'm saying? And so, um, speaking directly to and for the moon card here, definitely giving, like I said before, a lot of you haven't been ostracized, treated like a redheaded stepchild, shit, mistreated, not treated, overlooked, overstepped, like I said, treated like a burden, things of that nature. And that's also why it's referenced as the ghoster, having been ghosted by your village. And this came up in the Capricorn reading, and child, I told y'all it was gonna have some follow-up messages from the full moon. And here's one, the full moon in Leo specifically. But a message that came up in the Earth sign full moon read was about someone or some people going out of their way to make you feel unseen, making themselves very prominent, making sure that you always see them and you always sense them, always have them on your mind, always feel them in your presence. But all at the same time, they make sure that you don't feel seen by them. They make sure that you feel overlooked. And those messages were coming up to confirm to you and for you to accept the fact that they're doing it on purpose, and they have been doing it on purpose. They have been going out of their way to purposefully make sure that you always feel their presence, but also always feel absent from their view, from their values. Just always make sure that you feel unseen, overlooked, mistreated, misplaced, misunderstood. That song channeled through That's Perfect by Pink. That song channeled through the general reading. So, hey, okay. Getting some extra further up, 222 on the clock, as I say that, getting some extra further confirmations and collaborations there. So, Spirit is definitely saying, and when that song channeled through, there was a message about using that song in a rage room. Like if you go to a rage room or something, that's probably a song that you would want to use on your playlist while you raging out and whatnot. So that's coming back through as a reiteration for, whoever that resonates for. Also, it's also coming through to give you validation and to help you better validate yourself and your own experiences, because it's given that a lot of you have had a long lifestyle of basically gaslighting yourself and coming into these realizations and confirmations that, for one, and for very important as this is coming up, there are quite a few people, or at least one or two main people, that y'all have given the benefit of the doubt for so long. You're realizing now, as you're realizing that they ain't shit and they never fucking deserve the benefit of the doubt. It's also allowing you to realize and remember what really happened. And this is something that Spirit has been channeling to me lately in general, and like also as an applause to myself. Because and this is the thing too. So, ooh, this makes sense. Okay, bet. Because this is also referencing to people who are on the disorderly spectrums of things, challenges and things of that nature. I explained. So yeah, so like for example, how a lot of people who have autism and are not able to mask are very honest to a fault. There are other conditions that have that same trait of being effortlessly honest, like literally like being unable to lie, at least verbally type shit. It's coming up here. You've been made to feel rude and disrespectful or like an agent of chaos because you tell the truth. And this applies in general, but the spirit wanted me to make sure to specifically reference people, the people in this collective who have specific conditions where they are unable to lie and or something comes to mind and you just say it, because that's associated with the frequency of honesty. As much as it's been treated like a burden in our society, spirit is saying that that is actually a gift, because the frequency of honesty is directly attached to memories. If you are not honest about something, and or you lack the ability to be honest about something, or even the intense desire to be honest about something, you compromise the fuck out of your memory bank. Ciao. But this is some real shit. You can also look it up. It's been studied that lying and or operating on the frequency of dishonesty fucks up your memory bank. And this is also a part of why people who are abusers who know this is why they gaslight. This is why, for instance, people who have experienced sexual abuse or any type of abuse in general, really, and you try to say what happened, and you'll have people recreating the story, telling what they think ought to be the truth. They're bringing up Shandy from America's Next Top Model in that situation where she was assaulted, and because she was so confused and could not remember the details of what happened because she was so deeply under the influence of her memory is already compromised. But, and this is what Spirit is saying too, her emotional memory was on point. And this is also why it pays to be honest about your emotions. This is why it pays to be in tune with your emotions. And if people can compromise and convince you to gaslight yourself and compromise your own truth frequency, they can compromise your memory bank, which means if they are able to compromise your memory bank and get you to completely detach, dissociate, let alone demonize your emotions, they can have you totally demonize your own intuition, even though you may not, call it that. You may not mindfully talk bad about your own intuition. But if you talk bad or feel burdened by having emotions to the point of chronically dissociating and things of that nature, if you have PTSD or and that's the thing too, if you have PTSD or like any other disorder or disability that has you more likely to dissociate or misdirect your emotions, this can lead you to basically a lifestyle of self-harm and you not even realize it. This is how people end up living lifestyles of trauma responses, thinking that it's their personality and or that it's their destiny, when in actuality abusers fated you to destiny swap yourself on some shit and give your truth away, which essentially has you to give your identity away and all of your memories. There's something coming up here. For one, it's a play called The Colored Museum, and it's referencing how there's certain types of black people, that type of black person that they feel like they want to elevate in life and get more money and this and that. And so they start trying to erase their history. They start trying to erase all of their memories. This is also coming up. Oh, okay. And they're bringing up a correlation to religion, which brings up Brian McKnight as well as Mimi. This was something that okay. Okay. This was something that also this also came up, not in this way, but the concept of religious and spiritual abuse and abandonment came up in the Earth sign full moon in Leo reading as well. How it's coming up through here as the follow-up message for this particular collective is having to do with religion erasing memory, religion conditioning people to erase their own memories, and or yeah, because there was something that came up. It referenced the Thanksgiving thing, the Thanksgiving video where the girl is talking about she's thankful for her stepmama because she listened to her more than her real mama do, and then they all gather around and basically start doing a humiliation ritual on her type shit. And what Spirit said in that message from the other video was that and them saying they casting demons out of her, but they were demonizing her. So it's coming up that a lot of you have probably had experiences like that one way or another. They're also showing me Carrie, like someone being basically attacked with holy oil, beat with Bibles, pushed in the closet and isolated. Light, love, and healing for real. I try to keep the energy jovial and whatnot, but I do genuinely have empathy and such. Mm-hmm. Definitely sending healing vibes, which joy and jovialness is also healing vibes as well. But also I gotta stay focused on getting the messages out as well and making sure that I get them out effectively. But no, for real, intense and everlasting light, love, and healing to you all in the Most High's will and favor, because that is absolutely completely fucking trash. Okay, and I'm hearing get mad, which makes sense because as beautiful as these other cars are here, they look real beautiful and just as dainty and things. I'm saying, yes, them cars is all about stand the fuck up. But before we get all up into there, let me spin the block just a little bit. Okay, flip it and reverse it just a little bit, and follow up on what Spirit is saying. There have been one way or another, because for some of you, this is from like very pious religious people. This is from church groups and such. From some of you though, this is from uh local witches and warlocks within your village. And it could go both ways, but there's someone or some people, some of y'all, and this goes back to those messages about you've been giving someone or some people the benefit of the doubt for a long time. I'm getting witch, warlock. And mind you, of course, none of these things are so pastors, all pastors ain't bad, all witches ain't bad, you know what I'm saying? It's all about how people are using their free will. So specifying that there's someone here that cloaks themselves, I'm hearing, like a Christian, and or like they are afraid of spirituality, but they are mindfully whole dark evil witches and warlocks, and they have been doing castings on you. It's some things very specific that they don't want you to remember or catch up on, and it's having to do with memory erasure. These castings that they have been doing have been for the sake of memory erasure. They don't want you to remember something because they don't want you to get mad, because if you get mad, that's activating a super duper important superpower, which has a lot to do with the messages that we're finna get into with the more colorful cards. And again, that references back that Beyonce song that channeled through at the very beginning, superpower. So with this 10 of Wands card, this collective is super duper 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 resilient. Like, and yep, it's letting Cardi B channel through, knock me down 9 times, but I get up 10. Look myself in the mirror, I said we gon' win. Knock me down 9 times, but I get up 10, bitch. I'ma make a fuck nigga feel me. I'ma do a broke bitch filthy, y'all. Yes, guys. So what this is though is some of the follow-up messages from the general reading, which is about in the midst of, you know, changing and evolving and all of that, starting to brink on the verge of toxic positivity, overly using logic and intellect in conflict, which results in trying to handle every single situation like the bigger person, and or trying to handle every single situation professionally, so that you don't, a part of it is so you don't look like a bad guy, but the other part is like genuinely trying to commit to, you know, your changes and evolutions and staying out the way, staying out of drama, you know, trying to handle things accordingly. But a part of what this is a trauma response, micromanaging your responses, because there's trauma. And first of all, there's trauma in realizing that you've been traumatized. And then there's also trauma in vocalizing that, and regardless of how you say it, you get villainized and ridiculed and attacked and all of that shit. So especially if that has happened several times, it's like it's put you in this mindset of like, okay, I got to try to make sure that I cross all these T's and dot all these I's when it comes to approaching this, so that I can make sure that if they try to gaslight me, or if they try to say that I came with an attitude and this and that and the third, I know I did this and that. I checked off all these boxes and they start doing this. Now I have permission to crash out on them, or now I have permission to leave, or now I have permission to da da da. And the messages that come through with these two Earth Warrior cards, individually and as a collective, is absolutely not. If you have a truth that you know is the truth, you confront that shit head on, because there's such thing as an energy transfer. And how can someone take you serious if you're being dishonest in your energy transfer, and or you're not transferring any energy to begin with? Okay, so that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into pause. Pause. That's where this one side of this burnout card is coming from. Y'all are starting to get burnt out on doing the most to try to make sure that you approach the situation the right way at the right time at the right place and have all the right words and all the right energy and all of this and that, and it's overplaying your part. You doing all the work in the communication while the other person is just steady acting a fool. And the more they move the goalposts, the more you dance with them on some shit. And it's kind of on a frequency of delusion, but that's a part of the trauma response, right? And that's a part of the dissociation. Not realizing that in micromanaging your approach for the sake of trying to avoid someone else micromanaging your response, you end up micromanaging yourself all the way around. So they don't even have to gaslight you. They don't even have to try to micromanage or puppeteer you at all because you're already doing all of the work yourself. And so this is where a lot of you are coming into the realization and are about to come into the realization or already have that it's wearing you out, that you're getting tired of always trying to show up as the bigger person or always showing up as, you know, how a lot of us have been conditioned that the leader is supposed to lead. There's a misconception that leaders aren't ever supposed to show any type of vulnerability or imperfection or, you know, anything of that nature or get loud or this and that, especially as like how time has progressed. And this is bringing up like school systems and how it's something here about like letting kids act a fool and always expecting the teachers to just keep a cool head, cool head, cool head, cool head, cool head. This is also coming up in like misogyny, where there's always this thing to tell the women how to dance around. Yeah. So because it's bringing up like that concept of how a lot of women will live a lifestyle of fawning and tiptoe around and try to make sure that they follow all the rules and check off all the boxes. So, you know, to make sure that nothing happens to them in certain types of ways. And then if something does happen to them, that they're the perfect victim, when there is no such thing as a perfect victim. There's no such thing as perfection, for real. So the other side of this burnt out card is whoever these people are or whoever this person is that's been doing like black magic rituals and castings on y'all, be it from a religious or a spiritual perspective, whichever way it's going, they're getting burnt out because they're not able to keep you down. They're trying so fucking hard to knock you down and keep you down and knock you down and keep you down. And they're trying so fucking hard to keep you dissociated and keep you from remembering and getting, you know, the clarity that is bound to come, getting to the clear truth that is meant to set you free. They have been trying so motherfucking hard, doing the utmost to try to keep you from finding the smoking gun. And essentially doing the most to keep you from finding yourself, to keep you from remembering who you are. But like I said, they are getting burnt out because the more they do this and the more you rise up, the more you get up 10 and then some. You are constantly transmuting that energy into a more of a frequency of power and victory. And all the while, what's being reflected back to them is their own bullshit. You're sending their own guilt back to them. All the negative emotions that was once weighing y'all down, that y'all was once taking on for y'allself and overplaying y'all part, and then also more shit, feeling guilty for them, feeling sorry for them, benefit of the doubt for them, compassion for them, and they compassion for them being mad or upset or hurt about some shit they done to offend you and how it make you feel. You know, somebody do some shit to you and you express to them, hey, this made me feel away, and they're like, oh, it really hurts me that you would tell me that I hurt you. Nigga, what? You know what I'm saying? So in simple terms, a lot of y'all are coming to their realization, and it's causing you to call your power back and magnify it, and all at the same time, all that weak ass shit that they trauma dumped on y'all is going right back to the rightful owners, and it's burning them the fuck out to have that shit crash down on their head. All while they steady trying to knock you down, and it's really crazy because I'm literally seeing people get turned air which away but loose by spirit, the universe, the, you know, people that's coming for them with rightful justice type shit. Like, I'm talking about scrambling. I'm talking about bitches is melting. I'm talking about bitches is on their knees, begging please, and all at the same time, steady trying to burn a candle on your name. All at the same time, steady trying to send evil eyes your way. All at the same time, steady trying to talk shit about you. Steady trying to find any way, reason, and people to gang up against you and ostracize you. And the more that this is also happening, the more and more there are more people looking at them crazy. Like, are you serious? Like, you really, like, first of all, you really talking right now about somebody with all the shit that you got going on? Like, all the shit that you got going on, and you really have something negative to say about them? All the shit that you got going on, and you really going out of your way to be hateful to somebody? Like, is life not teaching you enough of a lesson already, bitch? So that's the other side of that card, and it's literally allowing Andra Day rise up to channel through the broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round. Yes. So yes, honey, we are rising up high like a flame, biatch. Now, finally, we can get on into the cricks and crannies of these Earth Warrior cards. And this is what we really get into the affirmative messages, where you at and where you going type shit, amongst a lot of the things what Spirit was coming through to say to me, to you, to us, the we, that your identity, like, okay, so here's what they're bringing up, right? They're bringing up people who have, oh, they're saying the strong black woman mentality that came up before in one of the other readings. But so people in this collective who have disorders, disabilities, challenges, things of that nature, including PTSD as well from traumas. This downplaying of your emotions and downplaying of the impact that your experiences in life have had on you. It's also a part of downplaying your identity, which feeds into downplaying your superpowers and downplaying your purpose in this world, in this life, in this lifetime. And that is exactly the work of the enemy. And I ain't talking about this omnipotent devil. Don't get me wrong, for we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of good and evil, of course. And that's what these cards gonna get more into also. But also understand, and this is what they're bringing up to you, these principalities, these frequencies, like, looking around on social media and there be certain topics going on, and certain people be on, the side of wrong very willfully and loudly, okay, and fucklessly. And I just heard Spirit say, why you giving a fuck about people's feelings that ain't giving a fuck about yours? They are your enemy. They are working for the enemy. Whether they mindfully own it or not, that's what they're doing. And when they convince you to downplay yourself, they're convincing you to work for the enemy, your enemies. Remember those messages about they ain't even got to do that much at this point because, or, for a while they hadn't even had to do that much at a point because you were doing it for them. And for some of you, you're still going through this process and being enlightened and such. So, take it how it resonates, whichever your past, your present, just understand we look up towards the future, honey. And so all that being said, there's also what Spirit was bringing up, the internalized homophobia that is, they're saying the type of person that's like, I'm not like wave a flag gay or whatever they say, stuff like that is basically what Spirit is saying misogynistic, that is basically misogynistic. Oh, they told me stop saying basically because they're saying that's what it is. Excuse me, honey, excuse me, wall. So no, they're saying that type of shit is misogynistic. They're bringing up like the character pray tell in the show Pose. There be certain things that he would say and do that so they're bringing up the dinner table scene specifically, and he was drinking a lot, he was going through it. His boyfriend had either just passed away or it was like very much so confirmed, and he had also just got his diagnosis, all that good shit. And he takes advantage of his place in the queer hierarchy of it all because he's surrounded by trans women, and he starts taking all his shit out on them. They trying to show him love, and he is attacking the dog sucker out of everybody one by one. You think Mike on Why Did I Get Married lit up the dinner table, honey? Oh no. Oh, absolutely not, honey. Pray tell said, hold my whiskey and honey, give it back so I can take a shot and rip these hoes to shreds some more. Okay, and so what they're communicating with that is paying attention to that scene. So it's definitely giving like a call to action to rewatch the show and or find that scene specifically and watch it and take note of the frequencies being passed around the table. Ooh. Oh. Because and this is what they're saying too. There's a reason why there's such a consistency, especially in Black movies, where shit goes down at the dinner table. And what they're communicating is spiritual warfare. And so these enemies take advantage of the frequency of consumption and the frequency of indulgence that is inevitably going on at the dinner table. So I'm hearing be careful who you eat with. When you're at the dinner table, when you're eating with people, whatever the truth of their energy is, let alone, what y'all are talking about, what they say to you and how they say it, you're ingesting that, especially because you sit down to the table with the intent to consume one way or another. Even if you sit down and you say, I'm not going to have nothing to eat, I'm just going to drink a little water, or I'm just going to sit and observe, you're still sitting down with the intent to consume. Even if you observe, you're observing what's going on. So you're taking in, you're consuming what's happening around you at the table that everybody sits down with the intentions to consume, and also in some way transfer energy. And so, ooh, yes. And so they're saying that this is how some people do their subtle, dark, toxic, demonic magic on some shit by fucking with you, attacking you, poking at you, bothering you, compromising you one way or another when you are about to eat. And you can take that in a layered sense when you are about to eat. So this can be when you are about to eat food, or when you are about to eat knowledge, or, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, this is what I'm hearing, when you are about to eat dick. And so that message though that's coming up is somebody dealing with somebody who has a tendency to say, I'm hearing degrading things, or things that they know annoy you, things that they know will probably trigger you, either when y'all are about to have sex and or when you are specifically about to perform oral sex on them. They specifically wait until you're about to, you know what I'm saying, fix it. Slob on that knob or whatever. Whatever it is you're slobbing on. They specifically wait until you're in this, powerful yet vulnerable position of consumption and giving. And they start saying shit that they know compromises your solar plexus, essentially. They start making spiritual attacks at your frequency of confidence. So that's definitely something to highlight, and some very intense indications that spirit is throwing out there. So it's definitely given that they are making damn sure that this collective find out and know beyond a shadow of a doubt who the real villains are. Okay, and if you don't know already, you're about to know. I'm literally seeing Scooby Dooby Doo. The scenes on Scooby Doo where they rip the mask off. And, when they finna say, who, it is, the real villain is, and they snatch the mask off, and it's, oh my gosh, you, dude, that's like the governor of Timbuktu or whatever. Like, y'all know what I'm saying? Or it's you, the tour guide that led us around here. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? So, further indication and confirmation that all the real villains about to be exposed. And that is for your vindication. And so when your vindication come through, you got to know how to properly use it and secure it. Okay? Fruitful multiplication. And all of that is also being said to make the specific point that is being communicated through the Earth Warrior card, Kai Tiaki, which is guardians of the divine feminine. And that is what spirit is coming through to emphasize to this collective, that we are the guardians of the divine feminine. That is a part of this collective's purpose. That is the major part of this collective's purpose as it concerns however it is that you identify being a part of this particular queer collective. So that's why those messages were coming up about, like, if you hear people who also identify as queer, or you may have even, had some history or habit of that yourself, downplaying your feminine energy to whatever degree because you've been taught one way or another that that's unacceptable. And what's being specified here too, and that's with both of these Earth Warrior cards, loud feminine. It's the loud feminine that has been demonized. And I'm literally starting to hear that song. I think it's by Black Eyed Peas. Pump it louder, pump it louder. Yeah, so this loud feminine energy that has been demonized and beat down and shamed so much so, and as that snake skin is being officially shedded, and these real villains is being exposed, that loud feminine is getting louder. Yes, 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 which allows, yes, honey, which allows to, every time I walk up in the motherfucking room, I make heads turn and they mind go boom, shake so hard, big faces need a broom, kill them softly and I put them in a tune, walk up in a room, hey, make a mind go boom, hey. Yes, that's Big Frida. If you think that you're on top, it's time to reevaluate. I've been booking bitches left and right, and I got shit to say. Honey, don't step out of line, and bitch, you better know your place. I'm screaming it louder. I got the power. Bitches can't help but be sour. I got the power. Yes, yes. We have to go ahead and milk that shit real quick. Yes, honey. So that's definitely a song channeling through, and I feel like, honey, the way we took that up, I think that's self-explanatory energy and messaging right there. So just to follow up with that vibe, when we get into the cricks and crannies, I'm gonna read out a couple of notes that comes from the description from the book of this card. Specifically, the first one that I started off with, the number 10, Kaitiaki. All right, yes, honey. Guardian of the divine feminine, guardians of the divine feminine. So this is a call out from the divine feminine specifying that this queer collective is meant to be loud feminine. So meant to be sensitive, meant to be more sensitive than usual, meant to have loud responses. And again, that's why those messages that were coming out to specifically surrounding like those statements that's like, I'm gay, but I'm not like a flamboyant gay. I'm feminine, but I'm not like da, 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 da. And this is not to say, to go out of your way to try to amp it up type shit. Why is Spirit showing me body lights? Why is Spirit showing me body lights? Okay, they answered my question. So balance, right? Balance is key. All the while, this internalized misogyny frequency, this internalized homophobia frequency that Spirit is referencing right there and calling attention to when it comes to those downplaying statements. That's why they're emphasizing so heavy that this collective is meant to be loud, flamboyant, flag waving. You supposed to walk up in the motherfucking room, make heads turn, and they might go boom. Shake so hard, big faces need a broom. Okay? If they want to start a fight, you got the upper hand. Okay? So back to the subject at hand. What the heck? I used to another child. Anyway. So granted, all of that can sound like frightening to a degree if you've been in such the habit of shrinking yourself and watering yourself down, silencing yourself, stifling your emotions, all of that good shit. Well, it ain't good shit, but you know what I mean. And of course, this collective is the black sheeps. Let me not even say black, okay? This collective is the rainbow jaguars, bitch. You ever see a motherfucking rainbow jaguar? You want to see a rainbow jaguar? Just don't look in the mirror. Yeah. Just don't look in the mirror. You got yourself a fucking rainbow jaguar, which means it comes with the territory of motherfuckers looking at you and acting crazy with you and stuff for no good motherfucking reason. Just from the fact that they've been taught to be scared of you and or they are committed to being hateful and just fucking raggedy. Okay? So, this particular divine feminine entity comes through and works with this collective being basically like a let me stop saying basically. But this particular divine feminine entity acts as a spiritual diary. Okay, and it's also in coherence with the divine feminine entity of the next card, but just hold that thought, okay? So this divine feminine entity, it literally channels through Alicia Keys' diary. Just picture me as the pages in your diary. So, of course, as was noted throughout this reading, the targeting, the harsh targeting, the hateful targeting, ostracization, abuse, oppression, all of those things, right? So it can definitely be frightening to be like, oh my God, I gotta get loud, da, 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 because that PTSD can come up and be like, man, the many fucking times I done this, it turns out like this, or even the realistic things that have happened to people of the LGBTQ community for just being, let alone speaking up for themselves, especially if you are a melanated individual, and how people love to get, how certain types of people like to get fatal when it comes to, handling things with, individuals of this collective. All that said, that's why all that was like so acknowledged, because this particular entity of the divine feminine, this is where it comes in. A lot of messages have been channeling through different readings that talk about certain entities and spirit guides and archangels and such. Certain parts of our spirit team cannot act until we declare and demand it. So we can sit up and ask, oh, please, can I have? Please, would you give me? Please, da 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 da. And they will not move, honey. They will not move. They will sit over there like, what, ¿qué? ¿Qué? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Qué colores? What? Like, okay. They will not move. They don't speak that language. They speak loud feminine. They respond to loud feminine. They respond to truthful declarations and demands of what you know you deserve and what you know it is and what you know it's going to be and what it's going to have to be and what you want it to be. So this is one of those particular entities. And this is also why it comes up so heavily important that this collective be very grounded in your emotions, honest about your emotions, expressive of your emotions, and transferring of your emotions in honest, divinely designed ways. Okay? And divine design don't always mean, please, can I have, per my last email, would you, no. This divine feminine entity is an earth mother. Like I said, she acts as like a diary. And so this also gets into something that I emphasize, when messages come up like this, but it's coming up specifically that like for this collective, this divine earth mother is the specific entity that we have to think of as the pages in our diary. And so this calls to action too. If you do audio messages, um, of course, if you journal like writing, or even if you type, but also if you do audio messages, not yes. Okay, I see what she's saying. I see what she's saying. Because I was trying to say audio diaries, audio journals, but she's saying it to both. But what she's bringing up is an audio messages. If you vent to someone in audio messages, for one, yes, be careful. Also, if you are speaking to someone that you confident, that you can trust, that you can trust, pretty much, that you've been comfortable venting to them. Either way, let me get to the point, child. She's saying to always keep her in mind, set the intent also that you are venting to her. And she will act as a purifier. So that makes sense to the note. And what that means is she will act as a purifier is, even if you are talking to someone who may be a wolf in sheep's clothing, she will act as a purifier of protection for you in such a situation. If they were to try to use your information against you or betray you in any type of way, that's what that means. And so also was noted in the book, as you dedicate yourself to her, she dedicates herself to you. And it's very interesting because it's given like also that a part of, so you do, let me spit it out, child. It brings up Shrek 2, where the fairy godmother gave Fiona a card, and I think it said something like only a teardrop away. And so that brings up how, yes, the principalities of good and evil. And that's also why she made those references about making sure that when you do journal, it does extensively supreme for this collective to intentionally channel her and journal as if you are speaking directly to her. Also, if you're venting to someone, keeping that at the front of your mind's eye, mind's mouth, things of that nature as it concerns like setting the intent also that you're speaking to her and her acting as a purifier. Because, yep, people can act like the fairy godmother in Shrek too and say things to you like, oh, just call me anytime. So that's coming up for somebody specific, is what that is given, that's coming up for somebody specific, that fairy godmother reference is someone who acts like a fairy godmother for somebody specific. That's something to be mindful of. So that is likely playing a huge part in the exposure. Hence, purifier. Purifier. Fire is also, and we have the 10 of wands here. And look, you see that flame? Yes, fire purifies, and truth is a purifier amongst the sun. That's why it's those follow-up messages and energies and shit from the full moon in Leo, and Leo and Aquarius are sister signs. And both Leo and Aquarius has to do with truth and blatant truth specifically. You may notice if you are Leo or an Aquarius, or Leos and Aquarius, a lot of times we are very blunt. We don't do a whole lot of thinking before we say shit. We see some, we say some. It is what it is. And that has a lot to do with the messages of this card and amongst the messages of this whole thing, for this collective, and as it concerns the identification of it all and the representation that you are for yourself in this world and your purpose, honey. So yes, because she takes honest expressions as offerings. So that's also a part of the quote, only a teardrop away. You don't have to cry, but she does take tears as an offering. She takes honest expressions of emotions as an offering. And speaking up, being that loud feminine in such a way, is a part of how you dedicate yourself to her. It's a part of how you function and carry out the role of being a guardian of the divine feminine. That's a part of guarding the divine feminine, guarding feminine energy, protecting feminine energy is to be loudly feminine. Hence, women are often conditioned to, that's why those messages came up too. A lot of the times when women have been attacked or get attacked, especially melanated women, a lot of the times they are so conditioned to police their reaction. They don't scream, they don't yell, they don't make any noise, and likely go into either a freeze reaction or a fawning reaction. But a lot of the times, the women who get loud, especially black women, monoracial black women, they get loud and start, no, get your fucking hands off of me, bitch. I fuck you up. Ah, da, 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 calling attention to themselves because they're not, oh my God, someone help. They often get demonized. But in actuality, the women who respond in such a way, if they're getting attacked or something, or they feel threatened, Even though they may be, bitch, you got me fucked up. I do. Da, 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 da. They may be coming off like they got it, right? Even if they're talking to a man, they may be coming off like they're not scared. Okay? They're acting in bravery all the while. They're loud like that because they feel threatened. And 9 times out of 10, whether they're balanced in their handling of the situation or not, their feeling of feeling threatened is very, 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 very likely valid. And so that's a part of this too. So this is also a part of, using this divine earth mother as a diary is a part of how she helps us to balance how we approach and handle situations that require fierceness, that require us to get loud. So she wants you to get loud with her first. A lot of times we're conditioned to think that we have to talk to God in these politically correct ways and, mew mew pew pew. And, a lot of time we're conditioned that we have to talk to God the way that pig-headed old heads require and instill fear in the younger generations to talk to them, basically. You can't say lie, you can't cuss, you can't be genuinely, totally 10 toes down honest about how you feel about some shit or how some shit made you feel. And I'm seeing 333 on the clock as that message comes out, because this divine earth mother, she wants you to be 10 toes down to her about how you feel. She wants you to cuss if you feel a need to cuss. She wants you to say, divine mother, God, goddess, this shit is fucked up. These bitches got me fucked up. Even if it's your mama, your grandma, your pastor, your whoever. She wants you to be straight up 10 toes down. I am sick of this motherfucking shit and I'm about to set everything on fire. She wants you to fearlessly express your truth to her first, so that she can counsel you however it is divinely designed for you. And this strengthens your intuition in such a way. Remember, your emotions are attached to your intuition. If you're dissociated from your emotions, or you're desensitized emotionally, or you have bad habits of decompartmentalizing your emotions and such, like was said at the beginning, you're harming your memory bank, which is also harming your intuition amongst your brain and shit. You setting yourself up for Alzheimer's too. So let's prevent, as opposed to be trying to do damage control at the last minute when it's too late. And that's a part of the points too. Speaking up, getting loud, and it's channeling back through America's Next Top Model again, because what they're emphasizing with that and why is like getting loud before it gets terrible, getting loud before it has the opportunity to get traumatic. Okay, so that came up for something specific, and all of this is gearing towards feeling a sense of belonging. The more you exercise this, the more you will stand 10 toes down and function wholesomely in your sense of belonging and having a definitive purpose, multiple definitive purposes, honestly, because especially, honey, when we get into the last but most certainly not least card of the collective, all of this also ties into, it correlates with like being called down to the altar, or going down to the altar in church, or in confession, and laying all your burdens down to this divine mother. And remember me saying, well said in her description is, the more you dedicate yourself to her, the more she dedicates herself to you. So this calls in more protective energy. Remember what was being said about certain entities and spirit guides, archangels, certain parts of your spirit team that cannot act until and unless you get loud about it and declarative and demanding about it. You know what I'm saying? So again, doing so with that divine mother helps, doing it with her first helps to purify the situation for you. Remember how it came up as it was talking about if you express it to someone else, okay? And so also in doing so intimately with yourself, with just her first, again, helps to better open the road essentially for, it ain't really got to matter how you approach the situation, as long as you are approaching it honestly with genuine intent to, and this, for we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of good and evil. So again, here's where this medicine of the rainbow jaguar comes in. Because essentially, of course, it's not meant for to say that this collective is just supposed to like throw all shits to the wind and just be going up to people, going off on them, talking to them all crazy and all willy-nilly and whatnot. And with that, spirit says, trust yourself. I'm saying 111 as I say that, trust yourself. You're not a senselessly rude fucking person. Especially you come up in this collective right here and divine feminine is approaching you like this here. Okay? Not only that, but clearly you've been here before. So you earned this role as a guardian of the divine feminine. The divine feminine would not have chosen you to be a guardian of her and everything she represent if she felt like you weren't the one. Okay, one of the ones. You know what I'm saying? So it's coming up to say, trust yourself by trusting her. Okay. So who else is yourself? Again, the rainbow jaguar. And that brings up the phrase of the way we're made in God's image. So this collective is made in the goddess image dimension, aspect, formation, if you will, figuring of the rainbow jaguar. So hey. Okay, so guardians of the divine feminine in the form of the rainbow jaguar. The rainbow jaguars, yes God, which is a particular dimension of the divine feminine. Reemphasize that to make sure we're all on one accord. Make sure I say it in ways that y'all can, comprehend what the fuck is going on. So something important to note about the jaguar, it thrives in many environments. It's a master of height, distance, and water. And this represents holding power throughout all dimensions. Again, divine feminine wouldn't have chose us if she ain't trust us, and we had to earn that trust. Okay, especially to be the loud ones. Okay, roar, bitch. All right, so it brings up that time and place to be fierce in your decisiveness, fierce in implementing and expressing your power, and the irreversibles of certain shit. It brings up the phrase like, I said what I said, and I ain't changing it. I said what I said, 10 toes down. That's why that quote keeps coming up, 10 toes down. And you see, we got the number 10 all up and through here, including that song that channeled through by Cardi B, Get Up 10, which is a number of new beginnings and celebrations. All right. So once more, that's also the purification of it all, clearing that road. Okay. When you use the divine earth mother as your diary first, and she purified that road for you, this clears the way for one, trusting yourself, okay? Because this collective is not meant to be micromanaging your approach to shit, micromanaging your reaction to shit. This collective is meant to be very much so, I said what I said, and I ain't changing it. Not no going back and forth and debating about shit. It's, hey, you're operating in a way that is contributing and facilitating chaos. I'm not going for the chaos. If it continues, I'm leaving. And this is bringing up America's Next Top Model again, particularly the scene where the girl walks in and she's like, I don't like how y'all treating us. I want to go home. I'm finna leave. And Tyra starts to be about to like shame her or berate her to try to convince her to stay. And she just walks off. She don't go back and forth. She don't stay there to listen to that shit. She just walks the fuck off. And Spirit is saying, that's the spirit of this collective. Hey, I don't like how y'all treating me. I'm leaving. And they can say whatever, they're gonna be talking to your back. And this type of energy is that type of energy that allows you to be able to turn your back type shit. When you solid with that in yourself, because you done got solid with the divine earth mother first, it puts a force field around you. So even if like you turn your back on somebody and they start trying to attack you, it's already folks set up, whether you know it or not, that'll act on your behalf to step for you. You ain't even got to turn around and see what the fuck happened. But they'll just, it's giving me the image of Basketball Wives, where Evelyn is running behind Cece with a bamboo stick, about to try to attack her, and because Cece just got on her ass, and OG is up behind Evelyn, grabs her and slings her in the bushes like, bitch, you are not fixing to hit my friend. Especially with her back turned, you are not fixing to hit my friend. And that's what, this is given. So operating in such the way allows that purification and that road to be cleared for your soul tribe to come through, be it in spirit or in personification. And this is indication that your soul tribe is meant to be those who keep that same energy that you have about your people. Because again, guardians of the divine feminine, that comes with like super duper warrior spirit type shit. Protective. Very, very protective. You're gonna speak up. You're gonna call a thing a thing. You're gonna get shit in gear. Or you might kick a little ass if it's absolutely necessary. Okay? Unapologetic about it. But at the same time, lovers, real strong, true lovers. So you still got feelings, you know what I'm saying? You still got feelings, which is why this divine earth mother, both of these divine earth mothers come through in such the way for this collective. Yes. Because that also references, the people who specifically resonate with the mental and psychological ailments of it all. Because these two divine feminine entities, amongst recognizing how you are made in their image, and four, to operate as a protector and provider and leader of their values and concepts. And the more you pour into those aspects about yourself, the more they show up for you and allow your soul tribe to show up for you, which has that same type of energy as you. So they're giving you these indications so that you can recognize who is for you for real. And it's the people who don't need you to ask them to speak up for them. They don't need you to ask them if somebody is running up behind you with a bamboo stick to snatch their ass and toss them somewhere. They just gonna do it because right is right and wrong is wrong. This is also bringing up like again this like stigmatization of certain people who don't mind making a scene for what's right. If y'all out somewhere and somebody is being racist or somebody is being colorist or just some fuck shit of toxic energy is going on that needs to be called out, they don't mind calling it out. They don't mind making a scene. I'm gonna make a scene, yeah. Okay, I don't even know who sang that song, but that's definitely a song channeling through. I'm gonna make a scene, yeah. I don't know who that is. But that's also why Spirit is breaking down the respectability politics of it all, because they're saying respectability politics is killing people in more ways than one. And there needs to be this detachment from trying to cloak and mask and micromanage how you show up and how you exist and how you respond to fuck shit that is going on, when it's meant for you to be sensitive in the way that you are so that you can react, so that you can act and react for the sake of what is right, and specifically in accordance to protecting and providing for the divine feminine. And that's what's special once again about this collective's energy of and radiance of divine feminine. It is specifically the loud feminine, and this is the people who also Spirit is saying have very definitive voices and or have very either deep voices that carry very effortlessly, and or you may have a high-pitched voice that has like the ability to like hark like a siren. Like if you get loud, and that might be why those of you that resonate with that might be why you've developed a habit or trauma response of like silencing yourself and micromanaging yourself when you get upset, because people have probably made you out to be like your voice is annoying as fuck, or like when you get mad and you start yelling, they might be like, oh, your voice so annoying, da 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 da. But the Spirit is like, they your voice is made like that for a reason. Hark, whistle, goddamn, Sindel scream on their ass. Yes, honey, Sindel scream on that ass. If it's annoying, so be it. They shouldn't have got you to that point. Fires don't start themselves. And so, key things about the medicine of the Jaguar card, because to whom much is given, much is required, right? Much is required to secure and maintain. With the understanding that if you secure and maintain your most pure and divinely designed aspects about yourself, you will effortlessly continue to be fruitful and multiplicative in everything that you do. And for this collective, as it has come up multiple times, one of the most pure, wealthiest things about the spirit of this collective is the frequency of honesty. So if your frequency of honesty is compromised right about now, it's some cleansing and detangling that needs to go on. And again, that's where the guardian of the divine feminine, that's where the Kai Tiaka, Katiaki, my bad. That's where the Kaitiaki card comes in, guardians of the divine feminine. That's what that card and those messages come in. You purifying your frequency of truth, which of course this entails the throat chakra. But getting like extra multidimensional with it, because we are multidimensionally powerful in this collective here, okay? It's that frequency of the Jaguar. So yeah, in purifying your frequency of truth, as it is done so through using that divine earth feminine as like the pages of your diary. Okay. Again, that's a part of what's meant to help you detangle and purify your frequency of truth. Again, as you said, it should act as a purifier. So yes, I'm hearing can't be touched, can't touch this. Can't touch this. And it brings up Corinne Steffens, specifically, they on Tyra Banks' ass, ain't it? Specifically, her interview with Tyra Banks. And this thing about, and they're saying Tyra Banks is a example of what they mean by someone acting like a fairy godmother, and doing those insistent things. She said something to Corinne like, "You're dying inside, aren't you?" So specifically, Corinne Steffens was top notch video vixen. She wrote a book about a hell of a lot of stuff, but a lot of what was most highlight from the book was the sexual escapades and such that she had with a lot of famous rappers, celebrities, and whatnot, as well as some talks about some abuse and degrading things and other stuff that she had to experience and all of that stuff. And she name dropped. She spoke explicit about it in her book, and she's on Tyra's show to talk about it. And very similar to how Tyra would be on America's Next Top Model, where it's like she's saying insistive things to and or around the girls to evoke the emotion that she wants from them to make herself look better and to have them boohooing and crying on her show. That's like what it seems like she was trying to do to Corinne Steffens. And she was even like saying stuff that was like shaming her as a mother because she dedicated the book to her son. And Corinne is constantly explaining to her, like, this is about honesty. This is about telling the truth. It ain't about, right or wrong. Like, I acknowledge where I was right. I acknowledge where I was wrong. I acknowledge all of these things because it's about confessing. It's about honesty. My son slept in the car with me when I was homeless and shit. So it ain't nothing to it but to do it. Goddamn, ain't no. And that makes sense why those messages came out earlier about baby talk. Well, I didn't say the messages. They came up, and I didn't say it because I didn't understand why that was coming up. But now I understand why. Because it has to do with someone or some people in this collective. Baby talk is not a thing for y'all. So if y'all are already parents or you plan on being parents, y'all not the ones for baby talk. Y'all not gonna be like talking crazy to your kids or no shit. But you're going to be honest with them. You're not gonna be all that, oh, little Jimmy, please, da da da. No, you're gonna say, hey, we need to do this, or hey, this is what happened. Okay, things happened, it got rough, da da da. I made these decisions because of this, it worked out this way, and this is how we're gonna move forward. Like straight to the point, and not all of that like playing PR for people who don't give a fuck about you, don't give a fuck about your feelings, how shit impacts you. And in fact, the level of which they do give a fuck, it's because they care to make you feel like shit. It's because they care to silence you. So, so again, referencing back to this Corinne Steffens aspect as it deals with the frequency of honesty. And something else she talked about was a lot of the guys that she spoke on, they weren't upset with her. And I remember her saying that she let them know, like she gave them a heads up. She's writing a book. She's going to be telling everything. She using their names, all this, that, and the third. And that was something that, and this is what Spirit is bringing together to connect all of the dots. Spirit is saying Corinne Steffens is a rare breed because of her frequency of honesty. So she is being brought up as a representative, that as someone who also represents someone who is a rainbow jaguar. So a difference in her outcome of certain experiences where she was a whistleblower and or she's considered a rebel in a way that she looked hood niggas straight in the eye and told them straight up what it was and what it's gonna be, what she was on, who she was fucking. She wrote it in a book. She put it out to the world. She did several interviews. She constantly stood in her shit and did not allow people to evoke shame out of her for her truth. And Spirit is bringing that up. It's like that's the purifier of it all. She's untouched. Yeah, she's been through shit. Yeah, it impacted her. Yeah, she's a very emotional person. She's a Scorpio, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's like, yeah, she has emotions. She, is not invulnerable, but the vulnerability is the superpower. The vulnerability is the superpower. And so again, bringing back up that fairy godmother shit, the Shrek 2 particular aspect of the fairy godmother and what they were saying Tyra Banks is representing. That's why they were saying be careful of people who are always like, oh, anytime, just call. Oh, anytime, oh, just talk to me anytime. Da, 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 da. Because y'all soul tribe is supposed to be, again, people who are like you in the best ways, that are nurturing and create and facilitate space for people to feel safe. So 9 times out of 10, you're a very good listener. You're great at listening to people. You're a great conversationalist, even maybe even great at giving advice. You may even do spiritual readings or something. You may have a purpose to write books, write stories, use your voice one way or another that inspires and speaks life into people and allows them to feel seen because you are seen for who you are. So it's like the Nicki Minaj lyric that's channeling through. Every time a door open for me, that means you just got a better opportunity to do you. That type shit. hmm So all that being said, once again, to whom much is given, much is required. So that's why it's that heavy emphasis of keep tuning in with the divine Earth Mother in such the way so that she can steadily help you purify your intuition to be able to recognize who is truly a part of your soul tribe and who is not. Because those that are truly supposed to be a part of your soul tribe, they not gonna do a whole lot of explaining shit that they can just show. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times they're not gonna always be like, hey, if you need to talk, da 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 da. They're gonna just be who they are, that communicates, which is in a way that communicates to you through their being that you are someone, that they are someone that you can feel comfortable opening up to. And it's bringing up like the type of thing like you can tell them something and you won't hear nothing else about it type shit unless you bring it up or unless it's an absolute necessary reason for them to bring it up and they not shaming you about it or like none of that shit. So yeah, someone who has a diary type energy. And y'all don't have to worry about draining each other because y'all are naturally reciprocal of that energy and of that functionality. Y'all leave space for each other and y'all facilitate space for each other to feel safe to where it's effortless. And that brings up a large theme of this collective like motto and life type shit when it comes to a lot of things is life's rejection is God's protection. So if you've been ostracized from your family or particular groups, harshly rejected from different places, and I feel like that's the reason why they keep bringing up America's Next Top Model too, because I keep hearing other people say it too, how like a lot of the girls who got eliminated early or like a lot of the girls who got eliminated even before episode 1 of any cycle. Hell, I got a friend that auditioned for America's Next Top Model. I actually know a couple of people that have auditioned for America's Next Top Model before, and they got turned away for whatever reason in real life. But it's giving life's rejection is God's protection because all of them ended up being protected from so much extra shit that could have been prevented and that essentially was prevented in their case. Those that were eliminated early enough to not, get through to that dark other side of it all. And so they're bringing that up here is because it brings back up those messages about like the people of this collective wouldn't have been chosen if the position had not been earned. So it's also like give yourself more credit, give yourself more credit, and also recognize that every group and space that you've been rejected from, and even if you're dealing with a situation right now where you're feeling rejected or you're feeling like it's a struggle to get from someone what you give and or get the approval of someone or be seen by someone or whatever, that's it's not for you and it's for the best because y'all are meant to, again, it's calling in the soul tribe. Y'all are meant to be met with y'all's actual family in this lifetime. And the rest of your life is not meant to be so hard. And amongst bringing up reincarnation, the rest of your lifetimes are not meant to be so hard. Upon reincarnation, you'll already be born into a lot of what you have created for yourself and inherited in this lifetime through properly operating and functioning and claiming in your divine design, honey. Yes, yes, that's big new moon energy. I love that. Okay, and so again, to whom much is given, much is required. So another motto of this collective's life type shit is um the scripture that already came up, for we wrestle not with flesh and blood but with the principalities of good and evil, because the more empowered you get, the more your ego experiences temptation. So it's important to make sure that the frequencies that you are serving are divinely designed and on the side of rights and on the side of righteousness. Okay, making sure that you're making decisions and that you're speaking up and you are fighting for divine design, not fighting for your ego. Making sure that you are protecting the divine feminine, not just protecting your ego. Your ego can be used to protect you, but you should not use your powers to protect your ego. Okay, so it's coming up in specificity here that for a lot of the collective, it's inevitable that at certain points, again, it's not meant to be so hard going forward. All the while, it's a time and a place for conflict, necessary conflict for the sake of peace, necessary chaos for the sake of peace, hence the time and the place that it is necessary to be fierce. Okay? And child, is literally what the book says. A time and a place to be fierce. And child, again, makes sense why America's Next Top Model been channeling through like a motherfucker. Child a mess. But okay, so yeah, in disputes, like if you are to get into an argument, it highlights the importance of making sure, again, that you're attacking the problem, that you're standing up for what's right as it concerns frequencies. If you are a spiritual worker and you do castings of some sort, you want to do protective castings or you want to do return to senders. And speaking of which, on that, it's very important that this collective, when you leave certain situations or experience rejection or experience moments where you have to speak up and stand up for yourself, or stand up for what's right and things of that nature, that you mindfully, and this is something else to vent to the divine feminine about as well, the divine earth mother as well, as a lifestyle, in these moments where you have to be the loud feminine in the name of love and in the name of what's right, and in the name of fulfilling your purpose. It is highly important to declare and demand that all frequencies of guilt and shame be returned to their rightful owners. Okay. Also, again, if you're doing castings and such, making sure that you're careful and, honestly, more often than not, refrain from attacking the flesh. Essentially, you'll have to go fishing, baby, to understand the depths of what that may mean for you. But refrain from attacking the flesh, let alone redundantly, right? So, what that means is, especially being the fact that the queer community is very prominent for reading a bitch down. This don't mean that you can't read a bitch down, that you can't read a bitch for the filth. It's just about, like I said, making sure that you maintain the priority of reading down the problem with them and or the situation, as opposed to attacking the flesh, meaning refraining from becoming what you despise in a moment. So, for instance, they're bringing up T.S. Madison, how T.S. Madison is a great example of a lot of things, but at the same time, T.S. Madison will at times get so lost in the sauce of her emotions and the point that she's trying to prove, that she ends up using transphobia against her opponents who are being transphobic to her, particularly like when she's going back and forth and with Jess Hilarious, who is quite transphobic. And they both be spewing transphobia at each other. And it's maniacal because both have more in common than not in a lot of the best ways, okay? But at the same time, they have so much in common in the worst ways that they're using the same tools of destruction towards each other when they're not even each other's real enemy. Boom, TikTok. That being said, it's very easy to get lost in the sauce of hate for someone, even if it's rightful and reasonable, to start attacking their flesh, attacking their looks, attacking their culture, attacking their identity, attacking things that may be derogatory, or it could be used as social currency to trigger people to instantly gratify your point, and all the while missing the point at the same time. Okay, so again, that's something that you have to go fishing, baby, on to get the depths of what that means for you. But one example that I have is, for instance, a lot of the times, if I am to get into it with people, even if I, first of all, it's very rare that I go in on their looks at all. But if I go in on something that is physical about them, it's because I recognize how the spirituality of them is reflective of something that is off about their physicality, and which something that spirit has been bringing up lately as well, specifically as it concerns people's eyes and people's hair, which is essentially how they say the eyes are the window to the soul, and how your hair, your scalp, and all of that is essentially your crown. So, as you still need to be divinely designed about your things and divinely directed about it all. Don't be getting lost in the sauce of vanity and becoming, a Tyra Banks and the Jays on their worst days, okay, when it came to talking to them girls all crazy, unnecessary. necessarily, okay, becoming what they despise one way or another, so afraid to be rejected that they up there subjecting people to the same treatment that they have experienced before, thinking that it's okay long as it don't touch them no more. Oh, okay. But that shit spent the block like a motherfucker and let them know that they had a scenic route to the same motherfucker. They just got more scenery, honey, but they landed at the destination of the same motherfucker. Right? Okay? All that said, don't never get too big in your britches to think that some shit can't be you. To think that a circumstance cannot ever touch you or affect you, let alone no more. And that's not to live in paranoia. That's to live in the fucking reality that no matter how confident you are, you must make sure that you respect yourself and respect your relationship with the divine realm enough to make sure that you maintain a sense of humility. And that's on period. Okay? All that said, for instance, if I was to get into it with somebody and I was to insult the problem amongst referencing their looks, I say, baby, I know your crown chakra is off because that lace is off. I know your crown chakra is distorted and motherfucking toxic because your wig, the unit, honey, is looking like it's about to get up and walk away. It's trying to slip away from you. Just like your spirit is trying to slip away from you because, honey, you trying to sell it off to some goddamn demons. So I slip away from you myself. Okay, okay. Take the meat, spit out the bone, go fishing, baby. May we never find a hairline like yours. That's all you got to say. That hairline defines that you are not of the divine, baby. God is not pleased. Make it easier on yourself and work smarter, not harder. And it's like, even if you do spiritual rituals, castings, and whatnot for yourself, that deal in defending yourself in the spiritual warfare of it all, make sure that you are attacking the frequencies, the energies, the principles, the values which people are standing on, as opposed to attacking them themselves. Because all the while with that comes the quotes, all kinfolk ain't skinfolk, as well as amongst, the scripture that I mentioned, for we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of good and evil. And with that is, it's important to recognize the principalities which people are standing on. Because you can get one person out the way, and then there will be 50 little more that emerge standing on those same principles, coming up to try to fill in that spot. So it's important to more so attack the frequencies as opposed to the person itself. And when it comes to two people who are channeling, as it concerns examples of that, is Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, and Kevin Samuels. And specifically, they're coming up as examples of people who were on the side of wrong in simple terms. They are no longer walking this earth for one reason or another, okay, with the exception of Donald Trump. And all that said, it's just a call to the attention of those who are not still walking this earth when they were eliminated one way or another off of this earth. Recognize how there were 50 other people that were rushing to claim the pedestal that they put themselves on. And that is a song channeling, y'all, of Fergie pedestal. That song has been channeling quite a bit lately in different times and places. And I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. And once again, and finally, as it concerns this particular reading, I believe it's about that time where I remind y'all, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Y'all go fishing, baby. Most certainly for the fresh water, honey. The fresh water. Non-scavengers, okay? Non-scavengers. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.